everybody, Brandon Jones here. Welcome to Trailer Score, the first episode of our sub-show, a subsidiary, if you will, of Let's All Go to the Trailers. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Bossman.
Too many big words already.
You don't love trailers?
Subsidiaries, where you lost me.
It is not a show on its own. It is a part of Let's All Go to the Trailers. It is an extension of Let's All Go to the Trailers.
Okay.
And we've been waiting for this. I mean, this is funny because like we created this whole scheme, and it's like, well, it depends on if we actually get the trailers.
Wait, who is this?
Daniel Bloodworth.
Oh, okay.
So
I was going to introduce him, and then you opened your big fat trap. People
yeah,
are just staring at a
great.
logo right now. We need to get into the trailer. The trailer specifically is the new gameplay overview trailer for Mad Max. Let's talk about it. So yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm going to announce this new category of Let's All Go to the Trailers, and then we're not going to do one before the next episode, but it happened. This morning, I got a tweet from somebody, and he said, this is it. This is your trailer score. Here we go. Mad Max overview trailer. We've gotten 2 trailers for Mad Max so far, but this is clearly the biggest look that we've got at the game, and not only that, but tons of explanation as far as like how the systems work. Lots of stuff going on here that I was not expecting. Lots of more customization that I wasn't expecting. One thing the trailer doesn't explain at all is there's a little dude in your car. There's a little guy in the back there that's like shooting rockets and chucking grenades. It's like, how does that? Do you hire that guy? You know, like is that an actual NPC that has a name that talks to you? We don't really get a lot of info about him.
He has a life debt to us, I assume.
Right, just like Chewbacca. So, very smart to release this now. We're getting Mad Max in 3 weeks. Fury Road, the film, and so they want to get ahead of all of the hype for that film, and so I think it was smart, for them to get all the information out, let us understand what this game's going to be, and I think they're really upfront about the fact that this isn't Fury Road, that it isn't the Road Warrior, that it isn't even the original Mad Max. It's just kind of like a big mesh of everything.
But if they start off right away with a shot that looks very similar to stuff from the film trailers, so yeah, I think there's, you know, like aesthetically, it all fits very well.
It is a weird conglomeration of all of them, all of the films so far. So this, including Fury Road, we've had 4 Mad Max films. So from the first film, we have them saying that his kids, his wife and daughter, are killed, which happens in the first Mad Max film. The whole thing just reeks of Road Warrior. I mean, I'm sure that's like their biggest inspiration. We get a shot of the Thunderdome from the 3rd film, and we get a little shot of tornadoes, which weren't really in the first 3. These kind of like sand tornadoes and you know, lightning and all crazy stuff, which of course looks like a gigantic set piece moment from Fury Road. So I think they're wisely trying to remind people of all those different elements. But let's get into the trailer specifically. I mean, it's not strange for us to have narration of a game and have these gameplay elements explained by a narrator and not from a developer, but actually hiring a voice actor to read a script. But it feels like Rockstar really kind of like is known for making trailers like this.
With the GTA Online trailer, you mean? Like that was much like this. The woman with the British voice.
Right.
Yeah, that was a great trailer. This for a lot of the same reasons.
Yeah, we recently had that Witcher one that was similar. I don't think it's that uncommon, but I think it's a great choice for what they're doing here because there's so much more to this game than I would have ever guessed. You know, like I would have expected some, you know, cheap little action game. You know, maybe you'd have some like linear corridor areas that you do some third-person cover shooting, and then you know you get out and you drive around. But holy cow, dude! Enormous open world, all this scavenging, building cars, and just like this Batman combat system, just craziness.
I also really, I was gonna say really like. I'll just say like. I like the writing. I think it would be very easy to use language that's really selling up just the grittiness of this world, and this game is going to be so amazing. And I think the language is very straightforward. It's just kind of like, you know, I think it gets a little embellishes a little too much when it talks about the, you know, the people roaming the, you know, wasteland being ruthless and they'll do anything to survive. It's like, they're AI, calm down. You know, these are this is not, you know, they're not going to change supposedly based on your actions. The NPC characters seem, you know, predictably goofy. But I just feel it's really straightforward compared to something like Sunset Overdrive, which I felt was like constantly striving for humor and jokes and trying to think of a way to not be, you know, just kind of boring in its explanation. And for something like this, I kind of like it that it's boring. I don't think this trailer's boring, but I like that it's like, just tell me what's happening. You know, you don't need to use flowery language. You don't need to like constantly reevaluate your script. Just get into it and just really explain the systems. One critique that I have for this trailer, I got some film grain over some shots, which seems kind of weird, especially because this is the big gameplay overview, and it's like, if you're going to do a gameplay overview, don't do weird titles until the end. Like, really, just give me raw gameplay cuts. Don't treat them, don't do anything to them. Show me exactly what this game is.
We'll watch. We'll end up seeing that stuff actually while we play the game. But I kind of don't think so.
I think at least the first ones where you're like seeing the dog, I think those might be into the game. I think that film grain might be part of the game.
Like that would be like how you have your flashbacks or your cutscene kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did I miss the dog? What dog are you speaking of?
We'll see him soon. There's like he's got a dog. When it first talks about how you've got nothing. Right,
you got nothing, but you got a dog and you got a guy in the back seat.
Yeah. We got a dog, which is, I mean, cool.
I wonder if they take the dog. Yeah, the dog.
If they take the dog.
The dog does not make it to the end of Road Warrior.
Oh, I'll be mad if they take that dog.
Well, they take the dog in Road Warrior. So, oh no, poor dog. Dog named Dog. Kyle, you were mentioning before we started this that the transition into the scrap segment of the trailer, where all of a sudden there's no VO, barely any music.
There's our dog.
And
barely, yeah. And
they hook up, a piece of scrap that in most other games you would just walk right past, but in the world of Road Warrior, it's like, ooh, scrap. And admittedly, I actually kind of like that moment because stuff like that excites me. I love open world games. I love just running around and discovering things. I can do that for hours.
The little tow cable thing he was doing. Yeah.
But pace-wise, the trailer does kind of dip in that moment.
Yeah, you gotta transition. You gotta pick your transitions there because it does go from something intense to just like, and now he's just pulling something up, and no even like voiceover at that moment. But yeah, Brandon, good point to like bring that part up because that is a video game moment you don't often see in any trailers for games. That sort of simple, laid back, I'm exploring, and I've just discovered something. It's something I love in games that does rarely come across in a trailer, and so I think that was very cool to show that moment.
One thing I think this trailer does, interestingly, is kind of puts a spin on value as far as like I mentioned, like scrap is something that you would overlook. The fact that he reaches into a corpse's rib cage and pulls out maggots to eat them, and eats dog food, and not only dog food, but the actual dog food from the Road Warrior. There's when he first meets the gyro captain, he pulls out a can of dog food and eats most of it and gives the rest to his dog. But you'd think, highly nutritious. It's something you can keep in a can. It's something that'll survive out in the wasteland for a long time. I feel this trailer's very truthful, and I really appreciate that. I think, with the post-apocalyptic thing, with the really gruff, lead character, I think the tendency to make it seem like more than it is very high, and I feel like we're really looking at what this game is. Just the fact, kind of like, from Far Cry that you, similar to Far Cry 4, that you have these patrols that go around that you can go take out is really attractive to me. So when you see him just ram these things head on, I don't feel like that is, like right here, I don't feel that's a set-up action sequence. I feel like that's a choice of yours if you want to do it. All the beats that we see of him that appear to be cinematic, where like it is third person, but we're clearly at a cinematic camera angle, I feel like are taken from the game. I just don't feel like they're showing things from a viewpoint that we will not experience in the game. I think we're actually, most of this, 90% of this is actual raw gameplay. And I really appreciate that. Anything else to critique before we give it a trailer score?
I'm ready to give it a trailer score.
Well, I mean, it's probably more of the game itself, but a lot of this. Oh, I love this thing too, where they're talking about the cities building up.
Yeah.
Demonstrating the upgrades. Yeah. I love it.
But just in terms of the way the game looks like when you're driving around and stuff, it's very like natural transitions and things like that. Like you don't feel like here's like this strip of texture that's stuck down. That's the road, and like it actually looks like it's been worn away. It's part of the sand. It's so and I don't see a lot of areas that look like, oh, this is a video game level. It just looks very, very wide open.
And these combat segments where you're taking on huge caravans or you're like trying to blow up a car, looks like you can really go anywhere if you want to like jump off a cliff or smash into the thing and ride it off a cliff. But then at the same time, now you got to go down to the end of that canyon and get the scrap if you want to, try to get some supplies. Yeah, I dig it. I was initially going an 8, but I think I'll bump it up to an 8.2. I think it is a very standard trailer. I think if you do a trailer like this, you're really going to have to do something spectacular to bump it up to a 9. But this did tell me things about the game that I didn't know. This did up my hype level for this game, and I learned a lot, and I really appreciate that. And like I said, it's very truthful.
So I'm giving this a 9.4 because to me there's a lot of spectacular here. Basically, this trailer sells you a video game without being cheap. The person doing the voiceover is very good. I mean, just as Blood said, the editing in this, even though we're not telling a story, is good. I mean, everything's paced right. The information is revealed like the perfect things first. This idea of like building your car, showing that first, like sells me on the game. Like, oh, whoa, and then we build on that from there until the end where we're looking at the crazy NPCs and the Thunderdome. I think it's just a very, very good trailer. Also, no pre-order now at the end.
Correct.
That is very true.
I think maybe one thing, just in response, Kyle, that might have bumped it up closer to a 9 for me is a lot of the people that he talked to, all the conversations are fairly generic, and so if it had that story hook, if it actually kind of let me know a little bit more about his past,
Right. He just says, I need that black powder.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Which, like, not every NPC in this game has to be, the coolest character I've ever bumped into in a video game ever. But I just think a trailer like this is just kind of average by definition.
I think I'll give this a 9 flat. What I think here, and you kind of mentioned this too, is about them, like, it's being like very plainly delivered, very informational. But I think that information is so rich and there's so much to absorb that it's like, yeah, you don't need to amp it up and hype it up. Like, the action on screen is already spectacular, and then the fact that all of these things are in the game that nobody was expecting. It's spectacular. So it's like, yeah, you don't need to be in here in this huge punchy attitude because it's there. It's like the hype level is there for a game that, I'm familiar with Mad Max, and obviously a million things have ripped it off, but I had no hype for this game. And now I'm like, oh gosh, another really, really awesome game is coming out before the end of this year. Oh my gosh. So hope it's not actually janky.
So, very important question. Do we round up on trailer score?
Round up.
We
Give
round
some
up?
credit, yeah.
Rounding up, this gets an 8.9. I can't believe both of you rated this higher than I did, and I've been waiting for this game, not a game like this game, like a Mad Max open world, give me a car, let me scavenge, go do quests, just drive out into the wasteland. And for some reason, I'm super critical of this.
Oh, we're rating the trailers, not the games,
This is true. So there it is. Trailer score, 8.9. There's the show. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Blood.
Yeah.
And if you guys are just stumbling across this on our YouTube channel or on GameTrailers and you're like, wow, these guys talking about trailers, that seems really cool, I invite you to check out Let's All Go to the Trailers, which goes up Monday on GameTrailers.com and on our YouTube channel, YouTube/C/GT Reviews, for a more trailer podcasty where we talk about multiple trailers as opposed to just one. And if you dig Trailer Score, hopefully we'll be back with more next week. Thanks, guys.